Hey, what's going on everyone? Jim here, and today we're going to be talking about ways that you can prepare for PT school. Alright, so we're going to talk about a bunch of things that you can do to better prepare for what's coming up ahead for when you get into PT school. But before we do that, let's just take a step back, and I just want you, just celebrate and cherish the fact that you just got into PT school. This is something that not everyone can get into, and I want you to be pretty pumped about that. I also want you just to be pumped about, you're stepping into what's in my opinion, the best profession there is out there. Now, of course, I'm a little bit biased, but at least I'm willing to admit that. And like every profession out there, not one is more important than the other. But man, I have so much love and joy for what I do, and I'm hoping that you do too, because the difference that you can make in people's lives as you go on and to turn this into a career, man, that's something really, really cool. So I want you to celebrate that. All right, let's look at the tips here of kind of what you can do just to kind of get yourself better, ready to go before school starts. All right, so the first thing that you can do to start preparing for PT school, this is a little bit more of like an abstract kind of thing, but pretty important to do, especially for a lot of people who feel that they might struggle or kind of have some challenges as they go through PT school. Now, not everyone might need to do this tip, I don't know, but this is something that I did, and I believe it's truly important. That's why I'm sharing it. So I want you to find like a piece of paper, or maybe you have a notebook where you're always writing stuff down in, or even just like an index card. I want you to take something and I want you to grab, pen, marker, whatever it is. And on that piece of paper, I want you to write down why you're becoming a physical therapist. Why are you willing to put yourself through PT school and go through about what you're, willing to put yourself through and go through. Now, why this is so important is, PT school has a unique way of kind of sucking the life and the joy out of what it is that, you love about PT. Not everyone's going to have all these, challenges or stressful times in PT school, but when you write down what your why is, and you know what that why is, that will act like a compass and a shield of armor when you're in PT school and you're kind of going, like, why did I sign up for this? Why am I doing this? Look at that index card that you wrote it down on, or in your journal, or whatever it is, and read it to yourself why you're becoming a physical therapist. Now, I'm also really curious as to know why you are, and if you're willing to share, not that you have to, but it'd be interesting to put your thoughts or reasons why you're becoming a PT, down into the comments below, because, chances are a lot of people could be really inspired by that. Now, you don't have to, right? Mine were some of my reasons, kind of personal. I shared them with others. But just whatever it is, write it down for yourself, because when times get tough or you're questioning why you're going through this, pull out that piece of paper that you wrote your why down on and read it to yourself and remind yourself why you signed up for this, because that will carry you through no matter how much challenge you're through. If you cling to that why, and if you know what your why is, you will get through school, and life gets so much better when you're actually in the profession, not just spending all your time in school. All right, the second thing that's worth doing, now you're preparing for school and hopefully you wrote down your why. The second thing to do is to start making a budget. Make it, a detailed budget, and start kind of listing out, what your monthly expenses are, whether it's your income or your savings is looking like. You need to have a good understanding of what your budget is going to be. Now, PT school is not cheap, as we all know, and you might be taking out loans and all that sort of stuff. But having a budget where you kind of know where you're allocating all your money of whatever you've got and what your expenses look like weekly and monthly, not only does that take a ton of stress out of the equation, but also you can save yourself a lot of money by just, knowing, hey, this is how much I have to spend or work with for each week and kind of each month that I'm in school. And you don't have to be a financial expert to do this. I'm certainly not. But what you can do is you can use some free apps and some websites that are out there to help you come up with, what a great budget for you looks like. Now, what I would recommend personally is I'm a big fan of everydollar.com. They have a website, it's free to use. They also have an app that you can use, and you can go onto that website. You can just create a little account for yourself, and it's a great way to start planning out all of your monthly expenses and your budgets and what your goals are, so that you just kind of take that stress down and you have an understanding of what your weekly and monthly financial picture looks like. Can really, really benefit you in a lot of ways. Now, another good one to use is mint.com, and I think they have an app as well. I've used them. No, they do have an app. Because I've used it before. I like every dollar a little bit more, but again, it's personal preference. The bottom line is you've got to come up with a way of kind of understanding what your financial picture looks like, as you start to get ready for going into PT school. All right, now the third thing that you want to do is you want to start stockpiling all sorts of academic resources and things that are going to be beneficial for you to kind of look back to and kind of utilize as you go through PT school. So, what that typically looks like is knowing that you're going to be throwing a lot of material about you, about all things pertaining to the human body once you're in school. So, if you have some time before school starts up, now is a great time to start looking at, what YouTube channels are out there that might be helpful, for kind of teaching certain information for PTs, looking at, what type of websites there are, or again, any other information out there that can really kind of, come in helpful down the road. You don't need to read it all right now. You don't need to look at it all right now, but stockpile it so that when you kind of go through school and you're studying those concepts or those topics, you can then go back to everything that you've stockpiled and have it right at your fingertips, so you don't have to waste a bunch of time trying to find other, helpful resources. Now, I'm not someone who believes in going out and buying every single textbook that they recommend for you in PT school. That's just a lot of money, and some books are worth doing that for sure, but many aren't. And that's a different, kind of picture of what that looks like for each person. But even starting with things like, knowing like websites like orthobullets.com, great website for, again, all sorts of orthopedic stuff that you'll learn while you're in PT school. Other websites, and physiotutors.com and all these other amazing people out there who, are these professionals in their fields, and they put out great free content. That can really just come in super handy in a lot of ways. So if you got some time, start trying to find all sorts of great online resources, or again, find used books that you can start stockpiling in all sorts of ways. So you will have just kind of less frustrations when you're learning material as you go through PT school. All right, now the next tip we're going to talk about kind of, bleeds in from the previous tip, but I don't care who you are, man, start studying your anatomy now, right? Whether you crushed anatomy in undergrad or you've got some extra experience and job training and all that with anatomy, that's great, that's good, but man, you can always afford to learn more, and it's pretty important that if you got the time now to do it, okay? Reason being is PT school usually starts off with gross anatomy. Gross anatomy, man, anything on the body is fair game, right? So you'll get so much material thrown at you so quick that you just kind of need to know as much as you can heading into it to make life a bit easier. But on top of that, the other important thing is that so much of what you learn in PT school through all your different courses all builds upon your anatomical knowledge, right? So if you get into, your orthopedics courses, well, man, like there's a lot of conditions and things that go on that you're going to be learning about. But if you don't understand the underlying anatomy behind, those diseases or those injuries or anything like that, it starts to get a little bit overwhelming. And that's not just for orthopedics. That's for all sorts of other courses that you're going to take. So the more you start to study and master your anatomy now, then the more you're going to thank yourself down the road. Like, it's just that simple. All right, the last tip we're just going to talk about here, again, what you want to try and do is make sure that you set yourself up so that you can really hit the ground running when it comes to school starting up. One of the things that you can do to help yourself with that is get, a basic understanding of what your first semester is going to look like, the days of, and times that you're going to be in classes, and start to set up a very basic schedule around, when are you going to study? Right? When are you going to take time for yourself? When are you going to build in time for, family things or other things outside of school that you still have to deal with? Having that schedule set up and ready to go right off the bat is going to be pretty helpful for not only just knocking down your stress, but also making sure that you stay caught up on material. You're not just kind of scrambling and having to cram. That's not how you want to start PT school, believe me. Maybe if you're sadistic and stuff like that, then sure, by all means. But if you want to get off to a good start in school, that's a great thing that you can do. And when you get off to a good start in school right off the bat, man, you just feel like you're walking less of a tightrope as kind of you go through school. The last thing you want to do is get off to a rough start, and now you're kind of thinking, oh, I'm really walking on eggshells for the next 4 or 5 semesters or whatever it looks like. Get that confidence going because you've got your time management skills really started to get locked down from a schedule that you've created. And if you do that, you're going to be well on your way just to kind of hitting the ground running when it comes to your first couple of days and your first semester in PT school. All right, so those are the tips that I wanted to share with you guys. There's plenty of more tips out there that you can use and implement on yourself. And I would definitely encourage you to start kind of thinking about what those might be or what those might look like. And if you have any tips that you think that are going to be really helpful, leave them in the comments section below because that can really help other people too. So whatever it's going to be for preparing for PT school, start by being excited, man, because you're getting into something that not everyone can, and you're getting into a great profession. So celebrate the fact that you're about to really kind of hit the next chapter of your life, and now start preparing and get ready so that when school comes, man, you can hit the ground running. All right, guys, with that being said, hopefully you got some information out of this that's helpful. And as you go through all this, let me know how it's all going for you. I'm curious and excited to hear about what your journey is looking like. And with that being said, take care, and we'll see you in the next video.